My name is Sinead OKane, and back in August 2001 we decided we'd go to America. We intended to emigrate there, and I had had a baby the previous June, and about September, October I began to notice my balance was going, and I started dragging my leg, and my hand movements weren't going. I wasn't moving my hands when I walked, which I didn't particularly pay attention to, but they noticed that afterwards. But then, and I was also getting very depressed as well, which again I was in denial of. I didn't realise that it was other people said it to me. And then in November, the strangest thing happened. I suddenly wasn't able to write anymore, and just out of the blue I wasn't able to write one day, and I thought that was really strange. And then the following February we went back to Ireland for my sister's wedding, and everybody was commenting to my husband what was wrong with me. And he didn't realise, well, he knew there was something wrong too, but he couldn't put his finger on it either. Nobody could put their finger on it, and everybody thought it was depression. And then I was saying to everybody it was postnatal depression, but my son had been born in June, so that was a long time afterwards at that stage, so that was a bit far-fetched. I just couldn't think what it was. So then I went back to America, and first of all they treated the depression, and then they sent me to a neurologist, and he diagnosed me with Parkinson's disease almost straight away. Like I was only in the studio, I'd say about 10 minutes, in the surgery about 10 minutes, and he diagnosed it, which I kind of was a bit shocked at. First of all, that it was diagnosed so quick. But anyway, then I didn't really realise what the disease was at the time. I just associated with older people, and I was so naive at the time. I said to him, how long will I have to take the tablets for? And he said to me, for the rest of your life. And that was kind of a shock for me. But I suppose in one way I was kind of relieved, because I actually knew there was something wrong with me, something definite wrong with me. But of course in my innocence I thought at the time, well, this can be solved, you know, because I thought all diseases could be rectified, you know. So anyway, I went home to my husband, and he was kind of in shock, and we were all in shock, and we were in shock for a while. And then we started reading the internet and reading all books and finding out as much as we could about it. And the more we found out about it, the more complicated it seemed to be, like the more symptoms there were. And I wasn't manifesting that many of those symptoms, but the more we read about it, the more we realised how many symptoms I actually did have, you know. Like the non-moving the hand, like the losing the balance, things like that. And then slowly my speech began to be affected as well. But I did a course on speech therapy here in the Mater, actually, the LSRT, I think it is, the Lee Silverman speech therapy. I did that as a course of 4 weeks, intensive every day for 4 weeks. So that was good, and that helped things, I think. Then the following year we decided to come back to Ireland, because I had my job. I still had my job at the time, and I decided to go back to my job. And then I went back to work, and I did feel a lot better. But when I first went back to work, a lot of parents that knew me beforehand said to me, why are you shaking, Sinead? When I went out to the children, they said, why are you shaking? I wasn't even aware that I was shaking. And it was things like my head would shake, and I didn't even realise that. Like I would look at my hands and my legs and see if there was a tremor there, and there wasn't an obvious tremor there, but there was a shake in my head, and little things like that, and so little shakes, my elbows and my knees and things like that I wasn't really aware of, but other people noticed, and they said to me in the beginning. Now after a while they stopped saying it to me. I don't know whether they did that out of courtesy or whether they went away. Don't suppose they went away. But anyway, I'm back to work, and I found I was teaching at the time, and I found it very difficult, because I found voice projection was very hard, because voice projection is very important in teaching. And also in teaching you have to kind of act as well, like you have to kind of perform for the children, especially I was teaching the younger ones. You have to kind of perform, and you need lots of energy. And I found it extremely draining the day. Very hard to perform, very hard to kind of use your voice, variety of your voice. And in 2004 I finally became administrative principal, which meant that I was full-time in the office, which was a big relief for me. I didn't have to teach anymore, you know. But I mean, I was sorry as well that I wasn't able to teach, you know, because I love teaching. But I just wasn't able to, so I was in the office then, and I do everything by computer. I can't write at all. I still can't write. I do everything by computer. But I do manage quite well. Like sometimes I find the workload, it gets me down, and I find I get very tired, and stress really is very hard on me, you know. The stress really takes its toll on me. And I find when I have to speak in public as well, I get very nervous, and I shake in my legs and my arms, which I never did before. And I just can't control it. It's an involuntary shake. I just can't control it. And that's very frustrating for me, because I have to speak a lot in public. I have to address the parents and things like that. I have to speak at meetings and things like that. So that's very frustrating for me, because it's not that I feel nervous, but I just can't help it. I suppose the pressure of the situation, something makes me do it, and that really frustrates me, you know. But anyway, so the other thing I find is my voice projection like, although it has improved a lot, I find sometimes people don't hear me when I say things to them. And I don't realise they don't hear me, and then they go away and I say to them, I said that to you, and they said, well, I didn't hear you. So that's very frustrating for me. But in terms of managing, I'm coping quite well. Like my 2 boys now are 10 and 11, and they're doing well. I've been working full time all the time since they've been growing up. But they're well enough. They've grown up with Parkinson's. They don't know any different. They're used to it. The house I can manage quite well. I do find it difficult doing the shopping and loading shopping bags, getting in and out of the car, things like that. Sitting down in a chair and positioning yourself in the chair, moving the chair around the table, things like that. I find that difficult. I do cycle a lot. I cycle to work and I cycle home. I find that right. I find it a bit difficult to get up and down off my bike, but once I'm on the bike, I'm okay. Apart from that, I manage to write. So I tend to write a lot. I tend to, if people want opinions on something, I tend to write them down and give them to them rather than say too much, because I find I'm better at writing than verbally.